Rabbi Marilee Gordon of McHenry County Jewish Congregation. And here we are in our synagogue space. The Torah reading we had for yesterday, which is Maseh, the journeys of the Israelites. It's the last parsha, the last weekly reading in the book of Numbers. And basically, it starts, the Israelites are camped alongside the Jordan River, right where they're going to be crossing. Now, this is a spoiler alert. They don't actually cross that Jordan River in the Torah reading. What we have after the book of Numbers is Deuteronomy, which is Moses' last lecture to the people. Such eloquent prose, reminding them of what they've been through and what they need to remember to do without him. But here we are, and there's a whole list of all the places that they stopped along the way, 42 places in all. And Rashi, in his commentary, notes that if you don't count the first year and the last year, so that would be 38 years, they only stopped at 20 places, which means that they were able to call these 20 oases home for close to 2 years. They did have a place where they lived. I think back to when in my early 20s, I mean, there were some apartments I only lived in for 9 months, say, till we settled down, and we lived in a 6-flat near Loyola for close to 10 years. And then we moved out here, and we've been here 39 and a half years. And of course, the reason I'm mentioning this is because we're moving. We're moving this week. And we're moving to someplace that feels like home. And that is an apartment in a building where my grandparents lived when I was growing up. And that, to me, when I look back, that's what feels like home, is that particular building. Even though my family did live there with my grandparents for 4 months before we moved to Glencoe, where we lived for, from the time I was 6 till after I graduated from college. That's where we lived. Would I want to go back there? No, not particularly. But the place that we're moving to feels like home. Don't ask me why. Maybe it's Lake Michigan. So I was thinking about home, because the Israelites, when they look back at their lives in Egypt, the only time you heard about their lives in Egypt was when they were frustrated by the lack of water and the lack of food. They didn't say, we really loved our lives back in Egypt, we miss our home. They missed the food. Because here they are in the desert, and they were eating manna. Same food, in and out. Day in and out. Day in and day out. So, yeah, what feels like home to you? What feels like home? What makes a place home? And when we were raising our 3 boys out here, who have scattered widely around the world since, they did come home a couple weeks ago for one last week in the home they grew up in. So that does feel like home to them, and it felt like home when they were there. But now it's time for us to move on. And it's going to be time for the Israelites to finally be able to settle down and have homes. And part of what's discussed in these last chapters is how the land is going to be divided and passed down within each tribe. Each tribe is going to get a particular area, and whatever each person gets is going to be passed down to their children, to their children. So that is really going to be home, a place where they can put down roots and really stay. So think about where you feel at home. And I have to say, we've been in this space since December, and it does feel like home. It's very comfortable to be in this space. And so I hope you'll come and experience it in our worship services and our adult education, because this does feel like home. Lehi Traot, see you.